try this again. Friday, June the 7th. About to get at it. There's already been a crew out here for about a crew of three been out here for a little while doing quite a bit of work. What we're going to get to work on today, this is on the west side. There are holes in this plastic, and we've let things come up and get out of hand. So we're trying to clean that up. I'll show you what it looks like when we get done with that. So this is a bit of work trying to do this. Now I was out here yesterday and did some work, and this is what it looks like after you do that. Kind of working on it. So I got all these done, and then the rest of this up to the center. So all of this got cleaned out, other than what's right here. Got about a wheelbarrow load of weeds out of here, and I took them down there in the tree line, spread them out, and put some wood chips over. I figure if we need to get them out of the active garden and they're going to compost down anyway, I might as well just use some of the wood chips that we've got and start essentially building soil around those trees in that low area. Why not? This pile is about 2 or 3 weeks old. It's nowhere close to completely composting. In fact, I'm not even sure that it's done a whole lot of composting, but it does have a load of spent grain in there. So I've got a contraption that I've got to kind of help sift it out. So these are the bigger chunks, and then the smaller bits I'm putting here in this bed. So this has got the smaller bits of wood, the rice hulls, and the spent brewer's grain. I'm going to put a layer of that just right on top of this, pull the signs up, put plastic on top of it. I'll probably water it in and then put plastic on top of it and leave it, and just let everything that's here die and rot and break down in place. We may come back and plant something in it at some point later, whether we pull the plastic up or whether we poke holes in it and transplant through it. Don't know, but if we don't have the time to hand clear all of this, so just put some organic material with some nutrients on it, cover it, and let it go. Daikon radish, basically the same thing. Now the good thing, and part of the reason, believe it or not, why I did it this thick, I didn't expect to get a whole lot of decent daikons. I mean, that one's not too bad. I may pull a few, although they'll probably dry out before I get home. But it's a quick, thick stand of something with the roots in the ground. Again, I'm going to put, if I may or may not have any, put a little bit of mulch on it or something, but either way, I'm going to just cover it with plastic, let it die down, let it rot down. The beans, this can probably be weeded some. This area where this squash is, it's just so overgrown. Again, plastic. I'm really trying to learn what our limits are, how much we can actually maintain out here, and this garden is shrinking. So little by little, I mean, here's about a fifth, about 20% of the garden under plastic, and it's staying there. We've got rows that have not been planted yet. We've got rows that have gotten away from us. So with the manpower that we've got, with the resources that we've got, there is going to be a certain amount that we can maintain, and without just burning people out to where all they feel like all they ever do is come out here, get on their knees and pull weeds. Now as we improve the soil, as we get a handle on the weeds, the amount of space that we can manage hopefully will get larger, and maybe at some point we'll be able to do this whole area, this whole area again, and be able to manage it and keep it neat and keep it clean. But if we've got areas that are getting away from us, then we got too much room. We need to shrink the garden. When I got out here today, this much had already been done in these squash. May not look like a lot. That's a huge amount of work that has been hand dug out, cardboard underneath it, and mulch. As far as these squash, I don't have a lot of expectations. They're throwing up flowers in a last ditch effort to reproduce before they think they're going to die. We don't know if they are or not. Sunflowers are starting to come out, looking a whole lot better. Tomatoes, they're hanging in there, but they're not doing great. Basil doesn't look bad. It's not thriving, but doesn't look bad. From the tomatoes over to the okra, this is part of the mulching I did yesterday. This was the really lowest point that stayed kind of waterlogged. So I've got about 3 or 4 inches of mulch that if we have time and energy today, going to keep working on that. So the main name of the game today is trying to get those big weeds out of that plastic over there, and then put down more plastic over the rows that are getting away from us. This area I mowed with my 0 turn at 4.5 inches, mainly because the nutsedge was starting to go to seed. So I'm trying to knock that back, and we'll see how it comes back. This other area, I don't know if you can see the white flowers from here, but it's buckwheat. So I've got, in most of it, or a decent amount of it, I've got a pretty thick stand of buckwheat, vetch, there's daikon in here, and a pretty good population of insects. I did 2 strips for a couple of reasons. I want to see how it comes back, and there is some nutsedge out here. I mean, there's zinnias, there's oats, there's daikons, but there's lots and lots of insect life in here. And if I just mow it all down, they're gonna leave. They won't have any place to be. They won't have any food. Plus, by doing the strips this way, it creates more edge. So going from this to that, there's an edge, and edge is a good place for activity, for well, just in permaculture, we're always about edge. I mean, we got a little pollinator there on that zinnia, and if I walk through here, there's just going to be grasshoppers and all kinds of stuff. So we've got some decent habitat here, and it's about waist high in places. So I'm just letting this kind of go for a little while, and we'll see. As long as I'm not creating too much nutsedge seed, then it's going to be good. And I mean, if the oats go to seed, I'm fine with that. That just, let's see, here's some nutsedge with some seed. My plan will be try to keep the roots going over here, and then in the fall, this plot and that plot, if I can start getting a good source of leaves, start getting leaves dumped and spread out and shredded, probably start with this one and see if I can just get a really good layer, you know, 2-3 inches of really finely shredded leaves over this whole thing, over the whole thing. And then maybe if we got wood chips, put that on top of it to help hold it in place, and let that set over fall and winter, and then we'll see what we do next year with it. But I'm going to get my gloves and stuff on and get to work, and we'll do a little bit of an after video. I used about 1/3 of the pile. That's the bigger chunks, and got a coating on this bed, and I've watered it in pretty well. So now I'm just going to take some plastic, put over it, and then tuck it in either with wood chips or stakes or something to hold it down in place, and we'll go from there. So down here in this low area where all the trees are, this is all the pulled weeds and stuff. Kind of making a permanent compost pile out of that. We'll just let that stay right here and compost and make soil for these trees. This is the current wood chip piles. This one, be a little bit careful of. This may be black walnut, so be careful what you put that around. It'll eventually break down, not be a problem, but there's the slight potential that it could have juglone in it and inhibit some other things. Here's about 1 truckload. Been working on this one, and then this is the newest compost pile. I got another load a day or 2 ago from the microbrewery. So this has got spent grains and wood chips and leaves and stuff from that pile in here starting to cook. So when the pile we've got up there has been used, then this could get moved up there. As far as what I was able to actually get done, it's about almost 2 o'clock, and I've just done as much as I can. This is where I ran out of plastic, so instead of pulling all the weeds out, I just covered them up with plastic. So this may be our constantly adjusting, this may be our new technique, in addition to the landscape fabric here that does have the holes, and that's what the stuff was growing up through. If a row is not currently planted, we just cover it with plastic and just let it sit, let time, nature, the heat, the microbes, let them take care of it, and just break it all down, and we'll uncover it when we're ready to plant it. If we're having a hard time keeping what we've already got planted weeded and neat, then we don't need to plant anymore. So we may end up with half of the garden under plastic, but for the first year or so, that may just be what we have to do to make sure we don't plant out more than we can keep up with. This is the bed that originally had the elephant garlic in it that wasn't doing much. Put a few tomatoes in here. They were struggling. So earlier in the video you may have seen I sifted out some of that not ready compost, put it on there, watered it in real good, covered it with plastic. It's just gonna sit. This pile got moved back over here, turned, and watered in real good. So see if we can't get it cooking again. And that's about it. See y'all next week.